Lesson 1 talks about the components that will make up the VMware NSX solution. This lesson covers the following topics: VMware NSX functional planes, VMware NSX network virtualization components, data plane components, management plane components, control plane components, VMware NSX deployment and components interaction. The VMware NSX architecture consists of a data plane, control plane, and management plane. Each plane consists of multiple components responsible for platform management, traffic control, and service delivery. It also includes the necessary components for integration with a cloud management platform. This slide shows the VMware NSX components and their architectural properties that map to each plane. Now let's look at the components more closely to find out what they are, how they interact with each other, and some of the features they provide. Click each component to learn more. The VMware NSX data plane is implemented by VMware NSX vSwitch for vSphere. This virtual switch is based on the vSphere distributed switch with additional components added to enable rich services. These add-on components include kernel modules, distributed as VMware Installation Bundles, or VIBs. These modules run within the hypervisor kernel, providing services including distributed routing, distributed firewall, and VXLAN to VLAN bridging. The VMware NSX vSwitch provides access-level switching in the hypervisor. Logical switching enables extension of an L2 segment and IP subnet anywhere in the fabric independent of the physical network design. Routing between IP subnets can be done in the logical space without traffic leaving the hypervisor. Logical routing is performed directly in the hypervisor kernel with minimal CPU or memory overhead. The Distributed Logical Router, or DLR, provides an optimal data path for traffic within the virtual infrastructure, such as east-west communication. VMware NSX includes built-in security services, distributed firewall for east-west layer 2 to layer 4 traffic, edge firewall for north-south traffic, and SpoofGuard for validation of IP or MAC identity. Security enforcement is done directly at the kernel and VNIC level. This enables highly scalable firewall rule enforcement by avoiding bottlenecks on physical appliances. The firewall is distributed in kernel, minimizing CPU overhead while enabling line rate performance. VMware NSX also provides an extensible framework, allowing security vendors to provide an umbrella of security services. Popular offerings include antivirus or anti-malware or anti-bot solutions, Layer 7 firewall, host and network-based IPS or IDS services, file integrity monitoring, and vulnerability management of guest virtual machines. VMware NSX provides built-in networking and edge services including logical routing, load balancing, Layer 2 or Layer 3 VPN services, edge firewalling, and DHCP or NAT. NSX Edge provides a centralized point for seamless integration with the physical network infrastructure to handle communication with the external network routing, which is also known as north-south communication. VMware NSX supports network address translation or NAT services, DHCP servers, and DHCP forwarding mechanisms. VMware NSX can perform Layer 4 to Layer 7 logical load balancing. The load balancer comes in two different form factors, inline mode as well as proxy mode. The load balancer provides critical workload balance in a virtualized environment. Edge firewall services are a part of the NSX Edge Services Gateway, or ESG. The Edge firewall provides essential perimeter firewall protection that can be used in addition to a physical perimeter firewall. The ESG-based firewall is useful in developing PCI zones, multi-tenant environments, or DevOps-style connectivity without forcing the inter-tenant or inter-zone traffic onto the physical network. VMware NSX VPN services provide the critical use case of interconnecting remote data centers and user access. Layer 2 VPN, IPsec VPN, and SSL VPN services are supported. NSX Manager is the centralized network management component of VMware NSX, installed as a virtual appliance on any VMware ESXi host in a VMware vCenter Server environment. In a VMware NSX deployment, NSX Manager is tightly connected to the vCenter Server instance managing the compute infrastructure. There is a one-to-one relationship between NSX Manager and vCenter Server. NSX Manager provides configuration and orchestration of functional services such as logical switching, routing, and distributed firewall. It serves as the entry point for REST API for VMware NSX, which helps automate deployment and management of logical networks. NSX Manager provides an aggregated system view. The single unified user interface allows you to manage both vSphere and VMware NSX within VMware vSphere Web Client. The networking and security plugin for the VMware vCenter Server Web User Interface enables administrators to configure and control the VMware NSX functionality. The VMware NSX control plane runs in the VMware NSX controller cluster. The Logical Router Control VM provides the routing control plane that allows local forwarding within a VMware ESXi host, dynamic routing between ESXi hosts, and north-south routing provided by the edge. The User World Agent, or UWA, is composed of the netcpad and VSFWD daemons on the ESXi host. UWA uses SSL to communicate with VMware NSX controller on the control plane. UWA mediates between VMware NSX controller and the hypervisor kernel modules, except the distributed firewall. Communication between NSX Manager or VMware NSX controller and the ESXi host happens through the UWA. The UWA retrieves information from NSX Manager through the message bus agent. VMware NSX Controller is a key part of the VMware NSX control plane. It is deployed as virtual appliances in the same vCenter server that NSX Manager is connected to. It is the central control point for all logical switches within a network and maintains information about all hosts, logical switches, and distributed logical routers. Controllers distribute network information across all controllers in a cluster and are responsible for distributing network information to all the ESXi hosts. We all know that stability and reliability of data transport are central concerns in networking. For scale-out and high availability, controller nodes are clustered. VMware NSX controllers are separated from all data plane traffic. Network virtualization functions are distributed among the controllers. In the event of a controller failure, the surviving controllers will assume the additional workload. Let us look at VMware NSX deployment and the interaction among the components. First, you deploy NSX Manager. Next, you register NSX Manager with vCenter Server. NSX Manager is responsible for the correct deployment of controller clusters. NSX Manager is also responsible for ESXi host preparation. The host preparation process installs various vSphere installation bundles or VIBs to enable VXLAN, distributed routing, distributed firewall, and a user world agent for control plane communications. Lastly, you use NSX Manager to deploy and configure the Edge Services Gateway and its associated network services, such as load balancing, NAT, etc. This functionality will be described in greater detail in the following lessons. NSX Manager also ensures security of the control plane communication of the VMware NSX architecture. It creates self-signed certificates for the nodes of the controller cluster and ESXi hosts that should be allowed to join the VMware NSX domain. NSX Manager installs those certificates to the ESXi hosts and the VMware NSX controllers over a secure channel. Mutual authentication of VMware NSX entities occurs by verifying the certificates. Once this mutual authentication is completed, control plane communication is encrypted. In order to ensure confidentiality of the control plane communication, it is recommended that SSL be enabled. SSL is enabled by default.